Dear students, let us start with another topic, that is evolution of visceral arches. Myself Sarshad Hussain from Government Degree College Suranpot. Now let us first try to understand what are the visceral arches. Dear student, you all know that your body is having an endoskeleton of the bones, and the endoskeleton is arranged in major two ways. One is axial skeleton, other is appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton is the skeleton that lies along the middle longitudinal axis of the body. So, this one, the colored one over here, is the middle longitudinal axis on which some bones are arranged, which is called axial skeleton. It comprises of a skull, then the vertebral column, the sternum and the ribs. On the other hand, the appendicular skeleton lies on the lateral side and is attached with the axial skeleton at some points. Visceral arches are a part of skull. So, visceral arches are again a part of the skeleton, the endoskeleton, and they are the part of the skull, and once they are the part of the skull, it means they are the part of the axial skeleton. Now, the visceral arches, they form the jaws and the pharyngeal wall. This wall is called the pharyngeal wall because this is the pharynx portion. So, the wall of the pharynx is supported by the visceral arches. So, we are going to discuss this very part where the visceral arches, they are forming a part of the skull also, they are forming the jaws, and then they are forming the pharyngeal wall. Basically, the visceral arches are pieces of cartilage. You can look at these. They are the pieces of cartilage, or sometimes they are pieces of bones. They support the pharyngeal region. So, if this is the body of a fish, this is the pharynx region which is supported by these visceral arches. Moreover, they attach the jaws with the skull. You can see over here, this is the skull, the chondrocranium, and the jaws, they are attached with the skull through these pieces of the bones, which are called the visceral arches. Visceral arches are also called as pharyngeal arches because internally this is the pharynx region which is present inside them. There are typically 7 pairs of visceral arches. You can count from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they modify in different groups depending upon the presence or absence of gills and the types of jaws. Because whole of the visceral arches, they support the area which is having the gills, and they form the jaws also. Because different animals are having different types of jaws, and the gills, they are not present in all the animals. So, depending upon presence and absence of gills and the type of jaws, the visceral arches are of different types. The subplanocranium, also called as visceral skeleton, is the name given to the gill arches and their derivatives. These includes jaws also. So, I mean to say, the visceral arches which are forming the jaws, which are supporting the pharyngeal wall, all these are together called as subplanocranium or the visceral skeleton. So, you are having the brain case, the neurocranium, then the dermatocranium, and this part of the skull is called as subplanocranium. Why it is so called? Because this part has developed from the subplanchnic mesoderm. So, you are having, this is the development of the embryo, you are having the praxial mesoderm, then you are having the intermediate mesoderm, then you are having the lateral mesoderms. They are of two types. The upper one is called somatic mesoderm. This is the subplanchnic mesoderm, or also called as a visceral mesoderm, because it will enclose the visceral part of the body. So, it develops subplanocranium developed from the subplanchnic mesoderm. It consists of a series of paired lateral visceral bars of cartilage. You can see over here, they are present on the lateral side, they are bars of the cartilage, sometimes they are of bones also. They are present on the both the lateral sides. So, this is one side, on the other side also they may be present. They are joint ventrally, but not dorsally. So, they are forming a arc shaped structure. So, they are called the arc. The visceral arc encircle the pharynx all around except dorsally. So, you can see this is the mouth, and then this yellow one, this is the pharynx region of the digestive system. So, it is supporting the wall of the pharynx from lateral side, from ventral side, but not from the dorsal side. They are not present dorsally. No, as far as the evolution is concerned, typically there are 7 visceral arches in fishes, though this number varies from 4 to 9 in different groups, but typically you are having the 7 only. First visceral arch is known as mandibular, second is called hyoid, third to 7th are called visceral or branchial. So, you are having this one, the mandibular arc, the first one, this, then you are having the second one hyoid, and from 3rd to 7 you are having the branchial arches. Now, as far as the mandibular arc is concerned, it is having 2 cartilaginous pieces called pteroquadrate or platoquadrate. So, this is one piece called the pteroquadrate or the platoquadrate, and the other one is called the Meckel's cartilage. So, this lower one. So, you are having the 2 pieces of the mandibular arc. This arc divides into maxillary process and mandibular process. You know, the lower jaw is called the mandible, upper one is called the maxilla. So, when it divides, the maxillary process gives rise to the maxilla, or called the upper jaw, and the mandibular process gives rise to the mandible, also called as lower jaw. The Meckel cartilage, this one, the lower one, eventually regress to form the incus and malleus of the middle ear. You can see here, incus and the malleus of the middle ear, they are formed by the regression of the Meckel's cartilage. In addition to it, the anterior ligament of the malleus is also formed. This is the anterior ligament of the malleus, and then sphenomandibular ligament, you can see over there. These two, they are the sphenomandibular ligaments. So, they are formed by the Meckel's cartilage. Second visceral arch is called the hyoid arc, consists of hyomandibular. You can see like here, the upper portion is called the hyomandibular, then you are having the serratohyal cartilage, and then you are having the basichyal cartilage. So, 3 pieces of cartilage form the second visceral arc called the hyoid arc. The hyomandibular cartilage articulates with the chondrocranium. So, you can see this is the chondrocranium. So, it is articulating, it is attaching itself with the chondrocranium. It is the second of the 6 pharyngeal arches that develops in fetal life during the 4th week of development. You can see how early they develop, and then they assist in forming the side and front of the neck. So, front of the neck and the side of the neck, they are formed with the assistance of, once it is formed, then it assists the formation of the neck region. Cartilage in the second pharyngeal arch is referred to as Richard's cartilage. You can see here, this is called the Richard's cartilage also, and it contributes to many structure in fully developed organs, adults. So, in various animals it gives rise to various structures. So, the second pharyngeal arch is also called as Richard's cartilage. Dorsal end of Richard cartilage ossify, that means turn into bones and form the stapes of the ear, middle ear, whereas the ventral one form the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone. From 3rd to 7th, that is from this to this, we have discussed up to this, this is the one, then the second hyoid, and then from 3rd to the 3rd to 7th arches, these are together called as branchial arches. They are formed of 4 pieces of the cartilage, the pharyngobranchial piece, the epibranchial, then the ceratobranchial, then the hypobranchial, like you can see over there also, all these 4, and this basibranchial, the lowermost portion, is considered along with the hypobranchial. So, it is not the 5th part, but it is a part of the 4th part, you can say. These branchial arches, they supports the gill. So, in between them they are having the gills, so they support the gill wall. The branchial arches do not contribute to the formation of the skull. So, that means the skull is formed by only the first 2, it is not formed by the rest of them. These 3rd to 7th do not contribute into the formation of skull. Now, next to it, let us now start discussing the arches, their modifications in different groups of the vertebrates. You can see in the cyclostomes, there is no resemblance with the typical pattern. We have discussed in previous slides the typical pattern of the 7 visceral arches. Their major contribution, that is the first 2 were contributing in the formation of the jaw and the skull, you can say, whereas the 3rd to 7th were the visceral arches or the pharyngeal arches present around the pharynx region. Now, if you look at the cyclostomes, arches in the cyclostome, visceral arches in the cyclostomes do not resemble with the typical pattern, though they possess subplanum cranium, in which usual cartilage are not identifiable. That means, you may not be able to identify the separate cartilages that we have discussed till now. The whole pharyngeal skeleton fuses to form branchial basket to support the gills. So, here I mean to say, in the cyclostomes, the visceral arches are in a fused form, forming a branchial basket. Then, in case of the cartilaginous fishes, the elasmobranchs, they contain full set of visceral arches. You can see over there, the first, second, and then the 3rd to 7th, all sets are present over there, and these full set of visceral arches and then they also have the 3 unpaired branchial cartilage called basibranchials. So, in them the basibranchials, they are present in a well demarcated fashion. So, they are specified separately. The arrangement is close to basic pattern in case of the cartilaginous species Elasmobranchs, as they have 5 pairs of functional gills and skeleton is also cartilaginous. Because visceral arches are mostly cartilaginous pieces, so the cartilaginous species, because they are having the endoskeleton of the cartilage nature, so they resemble much more, and the presence of 5 pairs of gills again assist more in the formation of near typical feature of the gill, you can say the visceral arches. So, visceral arches of the Elasmobranchs are resembling much with the typical form. Then if you look at the bony fishes, in bony fishes the meccal cartilage, that means this one, this lower one forms articular and becomes part of lower jaw. So, the meccal cartilage is a part of lower jaw and it articulates itself with the rest part of the skull. Hyoid arc is modified for the movement of operculum. So, this second one was the hyoid arc. So, it supports the operculum, it regulates the movement of the operculum and the functioning of the lower jaw. So, both of them are closely associated with one another. A bone symplectic, you can see over there, this one symplectic helps in jaw suspension. So, jaws are suspended with the help of which, as it is present between the hyomandibular, that is the upper bone of the this hyoid arc, and then the quadrate. You can see over there, this is the quadrate and this is the hyomandibular. So, between them it is the symplectic which is articulating or assisting the articulation of the jaws with the skull. Last branchial arc in the bony fishes shows sign of degeneration because the number of gills is reduced to 4. So, in the cartilaginous fishes it was 5, but here in the bony fishes it is 4. So, the lost one is the lost arch which was supporting, otherwise the 5th pair of the gill is degenerating because the 5th pair of gill is absent over there. Then you look at the amphibians. The larval frogs have 6 visceral arches and lost 3 bear gills. So, only lost 3 bear gills, total visceral arches are 6 in case of amphibia, that is the frog. So, they do not have the 7th one. In urodele, that means tailed amphibian, and those tailed amphibian which are having gills, in them 3rd, 4th and 5th epibranchials support the gills. So, epibranchial is part of the this visceral arch or the branchial arch. So, in them the 3rd, 4th and 5th support the gill, while the basibranchials, these parts and the ceratobranchials, this one, the above one, they are reduced to 2 pairs. Then hyomandibular, that is the upper part of the hyoid arc, modifies into columella of the middle ear. So, it is the bone of the middle ear in case of the frogs and the toads. The air breathing hyobranchial apparatus of frogs and toads is made by fusion of 2nd, 3rd and 4th visceral arches. We have already discussed in at very beginning that the visceral arches, they will be modified in different animals depending upon the type of the jaws they possess, depending upon the number and presence and absence of the gills. So, you can see as we are moving from fishes to higher animals, because the gills are disappearing and the jaws they are modifying themselves. So, accordingly visceral arches they are disappearing from the posterior end, their number is decreasing, and moreover they are fusing to form to support different functions. Then you look at in the reptiles the quadrate and epipterygoid bones. You can see this is the quadrate bone and this is the epipterygoid bone. This one both these are the bones of the skull or modification of the pteroquadrate. So, pteroquadrate or the plateau quadrate we have discussed, it is modified to give rise to the two bones of the skull, and articular of the lower jaw is modified Meckel's cartilage. So, lower jaw articulate with the help of the Meckel's cartilage. Hyoid arc forms a small hyoid plate. So, this is the hyoid plate which is formed by the hyoid arc and it extends to support the tongue. One of the two ceratobranchials we have already discussed in previous slides, the structure of the arc in which the ceratobranchial piece of the bone or the cartilage form the posterior corno, that is greater horn. These are the corno. So, they form the greater horn of the plate, hyoid plate you can say. Then in case of the birds, modification is similar to reptiles except that there is only one corno. Now, this is not the picture is not from the bird, but you just remember here two corno are present, but in case of the bird it will be the one corno and the hyoid plate that is modified from the third visceral arch. So, third visceral arch gives rise to the hyoid plate. Then in case of the mammals, pterygoquadrate breaks into elisiphynoid and incus. This is the bone of the elisiphynoid and then incus is the bone of the ear. The former becomes part of the skull. So, you can see it is the part this elisiphynoid is a part of skull, whereas the later, that means incus, is a part of the ear ossicles. Meckel's cartilage, that means this one, this lower one which forms the lower jaw, modifies into malleus. So, malleus bone is formed from it, and hyomandibular, that means the bone of the hyoid arc modifies into stapes. So, stapes are formed by the with the help of the hyomandibular modifications in the middle ear cavity. Larynx of mammals, that means this portion in which you are having the thyroid cartilage. This is formed from the fourth and the fifth visceral arch, while arytenoid and cricoid cartilage they are formed from the fifth only. So, this is the larynx region of the mammal which is formed by the modification of fourth and the fifth visceral arch. Now, the arches that we have discussed till date till now, they work together in different ways to create jaw movement, because they form the jaw, they articulate the jaw with the skull. So, in different animals they have different ways. Based on the ways in which these arches articulate with the contocranium, so that means how these arches they are articulating jaw with the contocranium. You are having major three types. They articulate the jaws with the contocranium with in three ways: amphistylic, hyalostylic and orthostylic. Look at the amphistylic. Amphi means both. So, it articulates the jaws with the contocranium in two ways. Number one, the upper one, the plateau quadrate and the hyomandibular bone, both are helping to articulate the jaw with the contocranium. That means, jaw is supported both by the hyomandibular and by a direct connection between the jaw and the contocranium. You can see the This is the jaw and the direct connection of this jaw with the contocranium over it, and then the hyomandibular bone of the hyoid is also helping it. So, because here the jaws are getting articulated with the help of two ways, one directly, other through the hyoid, then it is called amphi. Amphi means both. As far as the hyostylic is concerned, this type of articulation is found in the cartilaginous fishes and the bony fishes. Here upper jaw has loosened itself from the contocranium. It is not so fixed as it was in the amphistylic, whereas the lower jaw are supported, whereas both the jaws are supported by the hyomandibular only. So, here the hyomandibular is taking a major part of articulation of the jaws with the skull. So, this is hyostylic. Then orthostylic is present in case of the lung fishes, and it is present in case of the tetrapods, the other animals. Here upper jaw, that means pterygochoroidal cartilage, articulate or fused. You can see it is fused with the contocranium, whereas the lower jaw with the help of the cartilage is attaching itself with the upper jaw, and here the hyoid arc or the hyomandibular bone of the hyoid arc is not taking any role with respect to the articulation of the jaw with the skull. So, this is the orthostylic type. So, this was all about the various visceral arches and their roles and their modifications in different animals. Thanks.